So the government has announced their latest initiative to attack the housing crisis at the moment, and it is a $1 billion housing infrastructure fund. Now, the $1 billion is going to be offered to areas like Auckland, Queenstown, Christchurch, Tauranga and Hamilton. It's to be used for infrastructure that leads to new housing, so it's new infrastructure. It can't be used to pay off, to repair, to upgrade old infrastructure. So this is the government's plan at the moment, and the way they're attacking the issues with housing, the way they're attacking the issues with the cost of housing, is to inject $1 billion into the economy in these areas, and saying new infrastructure will help the housing situation, Lisa.
It's borrowing, isn't it? And it's not much of a carrot for the councils who will have to eventually pay the money back or buy the new infrastructure off the government, i.e. us, our taxes. I think essentially just means more debt, more roads, more traffic, less houses. I don't think it's a solution. There's
also a question of where is the money coming from, because the government has said it's $1 billion up front. And the councils, as you said, have to pay it back within 10 years. So there's still unanswered questions about what happens when they don't pay it back. But also, can we ask the question, if this is part of the way to solve the housing issue, how is building more infrastructure, new infrastructure for more houses, going to then slow down this economic boom? So we're 10,000 houses short per year in Auckland, something like that. So this infrastructure gets us to build 5,000 houses.
So we've got roads to nowhere, essentially. We've got roads to houses that don't exist. And it was the ACT leader, I think, who just said this is a wonderful way for the government to get the phrase 1 billion in a headline.
Yeah, well, let's have a look at how some of the leaders responded to this. Andrew Little, Labour Party, said of this plan, councils can already borrow this money for themselves. So it's really just more smoke and mirrors by a government that has no real answers. James Shaw, who is the Green Party co-leader, said National's loan seems heavily focused on building more roads rather than actual houses. More sprawl and motorways will not solve the housing crisis. It just means more traffic pollution and a higher transport cost. And as you said, ACT leader David Seymour, National's policy is designed to get the number 1 billion in the headlines, but it will not actually affect the housing market at all, because councils will still have to pay the money back.
I don't think it's a win.
So universally unpopular by the political parties. And can I just point out one thing? We're going to jump to quote 8 here, Tim, and that is very simply, the government, John Key himself said specifically back in 2011, this is what John Key said about borrowing. Remember, Labour was saying, we're going to borrow, National said we're going to sell assets. He said this, the government has to stop borrowing as much money. If we don't, quite frankly, New Zealand will be downgraded and interest rates will go up for all New Zealanders. So my question is, if in 2011, when Labour was saying we're going to borrow and keep our assets, and National was going, we're going to sell our assets because borrowing is of the devil itself, why are we now borrowing $1 billion to basically do what they said that they were going to do 5 years ago?
It's a massive flip-flop, isn't it? It really is. It's a bad look.